Today, I'm breaking down my favorite pick from the top 10 rounds of drafts over at Yahoo Fantasy, looking at full PPR scoring. It is a reality where the base Yahoo and also ESPN leagues, they are doing 10 teams. So once you do kind of get past 10 rounds for what I would imagine is most people's usual setup being a 12 team, it gets a bit wonky. All right. So that's why I am stopping at 10 rounds, but I will have plenty of sleepers at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and even DST afterwards. No kickers. Can't do it. Won't do it. At least not today. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's get after it, guys. My favorite pick of round one, it is Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs. Hear me out. I'm not just trying to take the easiest way out ever here. I know it's the 101 guy, but truly, I have a video going up, I believe, tomorrow, if you guys listen to us on Thursday, where I go through my single favorite draft position in drafts this year, if you get the luxury of being able to choose it, and it is the 101. So I just think that, again, out of every single player in fantasy football, Gibbs has the best combination of talent, offensive upside, being in the prime of his career, and overall volume without David Montgomery in town. So if I had my, again, chance to pick any draft spot, I would take the 101. Also love the way it sets up, inside the first 5 rounds. Check out the whole video if you guys want for the entire strategy behind it. But yes, my favorite pick in round one is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Of course, we're talking about round one. Guess what? Pretty much everyone is an awesome player. If there's a fade in there, for example, Justin Jefferson is someone who I'm not really lining up to pick, but yeah, he's still ranked inside my top 10 wide receivers. You want to go for it? How can I exactly call you that crazy about it? Jonathan Taylor would be my one quote unquote fade here. It just comes back to me not believing in the Colts offense. And I don't want to completely beat a dead horse with this. I have been going a little bit overboard with it. I swear to God, it's nothing personal, Colts fans. And if I'm wrong and you guys play like you did in the first 10 weeks of the season, let me hear it. Feel free to slander me as a non-ball knowing loser. I certainly deserve it. For me, though, it just comes down to the fact that we have your 9-figure field stretcher coming back from an ankle, foot injury that still has him sidelined. We had to bring in 33, 34-year-old Keenan Allen as your savior. I like Josh Downs. I like Tyler Warren. They're mostly underneath players, and your quarterback is coming back from a right Achilles tear that I am frankly worried is going to reduce him to look a little bit more like the guy we saw the first 6 seasons of his career as opposed to the first 10 weeks of last season. You add all that up, and I just see no way defenses don't load up the box and make life very difficult on Jonathan Taylor, like they did during the second half of last season when he went from a world beater into way more of just a regular RB2. You got outscored by Tony freaking Pollard over the second half of last season. So it's not Jonathan Taylor. It's just the rest of the offensive environment. A lot of risk for me in round one. My favorite pick of round two is going to go ahead and be Bengals running back Chase Brown. He just gives me more answers than questions, man, when I'm looking at the actual profile going on here, okay? I'm not worried about the offense. In fact, even having Joe Flacco as the backup QB makes me feel better if we do have to, again, deal with the unfortunate reality of Joe Burrow missing time. But, we can kind of have that just potential red flag issue for pretty much any running back or wide receiver for that matter. Your starting QB goes down. That's not going to be good for anyone involved. But man, aside from that, Chase Brown, would he be a top 10 running back picked, if we were doing a Sandlot pickup game? No, he wouldn't. But he's good. I don't think he put together the last 2 seasons he has without doing that. The workload we should feel great about. Yes, Samaje Perine is going to get a few touches here or there, but guys, it's soon to be 31-year-old Samaje Perine, all right? We've seen Chase Brown take over in the second half of each of the past 2 seasons. I know he originally was splitting some work with Zach Moss. That was before he emerged as a very good contributor for this offense. Everything out of training camp has been awesome, with them even saying they're getting him going more. Have you guys ever heard this? More slot snaps for Chase Brown, a running back in the slot? Has anyone ever thought of this? We're getting good reports out of training camp. It sounds like he's, again, going to be the featured 3-down running back in an offense that has helped him be a top 5 player down the stretch in each of these past 2 seasons. He has 70-plus catch upside. Again, we love the offense. The age is fine. We have no injury concerns. Contract year, a little carrot thrown in there as well. Chase Brown, for me, my number 8 player overall, my RB4, and someone that, again, very, very happy to get in round 2 of Yahoo drafts. Other targets for me, Saquon Barkley. Just think that this time last year, pretty much unanimously considered the best running back alive. Don't think there's too much of a difference between him and James Cook. Maybe a little more pass down upside for Cook. Those would be kind of Brown, Cook, Barkley, the three guys that I'm really hoping to get that great wall of RB, turn going in round 1, round 2. Brock Bowers is also someone that when it breaks right, guys, I love to get him in round 2. Now, I will admit, when Derrick Henry's looking at me, when Chase Brown especially is looking at me, I'm usually taking that running back there. It's not so much anything against Bowers, but when you can lock down those 2 running backs early, and we'll talk about this and kind of like when to make sure you get your second running back here in a little bit, I just really like the way the rest of those teams turn out. But still, Brock Bowers, when I can get a super Bowers strategy going on, elite RB in round 1, Bowers in round 2, hopefully still get a decent RB in round 3. Looking at you, Javonte Williams, maybe Josh Jacobs, if you can get your legal situation figured out. If we can do that, then we can just attack wide receivers round 4 through, 8 or 9. And I feel pretty good about the squad. But Chase Brown, the round 2 target, Saquon and Bowers, other targets. My fades, and it's all just relative to the ADP, guys. Say it again. Don't hate the player, hate the ADP. Everyone's a value if you move them down low enough. Mentioned Justin Jefferson. I'm just not convinced Kyler Murray's a big-time upgrade over J.J. McCarthy. He's an upgrade. Everything he can do on the ground is going to be fantastic. I just worry that the guy who's in an offense that Vegas has ranked below average with a quarterback who has been a couple years since we've seen him play at a really high level, a wide receiver who just finished wide receiver 30 somehow last year, using a literal round 1-2 turn pick on Jettas. It's tough. Terrifies me to say that because he's Justin freaking Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the game. But Justin Jefferson and Drake London, who I have as this, again, not full fades, but guys who worry me. I think we can say that. Not fades, but people who worry me in this range. Jefferson and London, given the fact that we have so many questions about the quarterback room, they worry me. Devon Achane as well. Incredible talent. I get it. Look at every top 15 running back. Pretty much all of them are incredible talents, okay? We don't expect the Dolphins offense to be very good. And as much as I would like to think Achane can win out with volume, guys, he sure is going to need a lot of it. And they're going to have to design a lot of targets to go his way because unlike Tua Tagovailoa, when pressure comes to Malik Willis, he's not checking the ball down. He's taking off and running and trying to make things happen that way. So Devon Achane, Drake London, Justin Jefferson, not guys who I'm consistently drafting in round 2. Chase Brown, Saquon Barkley, and Brock Bowers very much are. Round 3, Patriots wide receiver 1, A.J. Brown. If you're saying not in my league, pal, yeah, maybe not in your league, but I've clicked them myself. A.J. Brown, the early round 3 streets. What a time to be alive. I think it's the perfect combination of a player who, even with everything going wrong last year, we all saw how unimaginative the Eagles offense was. We saw A.J. Brown dealing with some hamstring stuff early on. Had some drops. I saw a Chargers game. I saw the 49ers wildcard game. Wasn't always pretty. He still finished as wide receiver 11 in PPR points per game. And now we're motivated. Now we're looking jiggity jacked as Drake Maye. Drake freaking Maye's number 1 wide receiver. I'm buying A.J. Brown. I haven't ranked ahead Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. It is an absolute gift to get a top 5 real-life wide receiver inside the best situation of his career in round 3 of Yahoo drafts. Other targets for me here, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors. This is why I love picking early in drafts because you have a really good chance of setting yourself up with either 2 sweet RBs, Brock Bowers, maybe one of these wide receivers. Maybe you get Drake London in round 2. That's fine. And then one of AJB, Chris Olave, or Malik Neighbors. Like that's a strong top 12. Jordan Tyson obviously going to be out for a while. That does deserve to boost Olave up in the ranks. I think he was the wide receiver 2 in fantasy down the stretch of last year, last 6 weeks, whatever it was. Maybe it was just fantasy playoffs, but incredible end of last season. And now we don't have to worry about Tyson being in there. Olave very much deserving of low-end wide receiver 1 treatment. And then with Malik Neighbors being back in action, expecting to be ready for week 1. Top 5 real-life talent to position. I got to be careful. I've now said that about 2 guys. Jahmyr, Jefferson, probably JSN, complete the top 5. Oh, God, I'm probably forgetting someone. Please don't judge me on this. Okay, Malik Neighbors, a very, very good real-life player. I think we all can agree on that, whether he's top 5 or top 6 or whatever. And the fact we can get him with that mini injury discount round 2, 3 turn, sign me up. If I was going to take a running back in round 3, I would like it to be Javonte Williams. I feel like he could just fall into the end zone 15 times and it wouldn't surprise any of us. There's no competition here. They extended him. He was the RB12 last year. I really don't know what we're missing with Javonte Williams. Similar sentiment for Josh Jacobs. He did return to practice after having that groin injury problem. And it also could be a situation where if we find out that the legal stuff, there's nothing there, which just sounds more likely than not, there's not going to be. I think Javonte Williams and Josh Jacobs, very similar archetypes. And it's a situation where I do want 2 running backs inside the first 5 rounds of drafts, if at all possible. I will say too, this is primarily for 3 starting wide receiver leagues, which, right, come on, it's 2026. We should be starting 3 wide receivers in fantasy football. If you're only starting 2 though, I would like to have 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. I think round 5 is a great target. I think the right RB could be there, Javonte or Jacobs in round 3. Pretty much all the dudes in rounds 1 and 2, there's a reason why they're consensus top 12 running backs. Even Achane, End of round 2, Achane's quite a bit better than round 1, 2 turn Achane. We'll say that. Fades for me in round 3. I don't want to draft Cardinals and Jets with a top 36 pick in fantasy drafts, guys. Trey McBride, Jeremiah Love, Breece Hall. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I have been fading Jeremiah Love and Breece Hall before they got injured, okay? Just for clarity. Maybe they're fine. Maybe they boom. It happens sometimes, not all the time. Over the last decade, top 12 fantasy performers to come from bottom 10 scoring offenses, there's been 14 running backs. This is per game. All right. 14 running backs, 12 wide receivers, 4 quarterbacks, 20 tight ends. The tight ends kind of get it done a little bit more. And Trey McBride's really good. I get it. I will say Trey McBride is one of the fades that scares me more. Having Jacoby, maybe Beck's competent, maybe Minshew's competent. I just don't want Cardinals or Jets, man. Mike LaFleur, Nathaniel Hackett, Frank Reich. That's our brain trust that we have with round 3 and 4 picks. Like, that's the problem. I could wrap my mind around if we're going to discount for being in such a bad offense. When you look at Jeremiah and Breece Hall, and maybe they get pushed to round 4 now with the injuries and stuff. That's more feasible. End of round 4. Okay. I could wrap my mind around that. I still lean towards some of the good receivers. I'll talk about more, but my issue with Love and Hall is that we could likely have Cade Klubnik and Carson Beck in reverse order, under center for the fantasy playoffs, man, when it matters most. I know I was hyping up Bowers, and it's a little bit contradictory to be more in on the Raiders. The difference I see is that the Raiders have their long-term quarterback. When Fernando Mendoza comes in, it's him and Clint Kubiak trying to win games and trying to build for the future. It's not going to be a situation where it's week 17 and Aaron Glenn got fired 3 weeks ago. Just get us to freaking the offseason. Why is Breece Hall even out there? Arizona's a little bit different because we do have year 1 LaFleur. But man, if I knew Jacoby could start 17 games, I'd feel better. But look at that schedule, guys. Try to find more than a win in the first 13 weeks of the season. And when that happens, it's just going to behoove that organization to see what they have with Carson Beck. And maybe Beck's awesome, but I don't want to be betting on, again, a quarterback who is probably just going to be hearing every single week about, tank for Arch and, try and get Dante Moore and whoever else. So Trey McBride, Jeremiah Love, and Breece Hall, not for me in round 3. Round 4, favorite pick, Colston Loveland, guys. Bears tight end 1 went absolutely thunder, Nana, and fuego down the stretch of last season. I think he had, it's a good stat, so I'll pull it up real quick, but I really can't overstate how much he was being featured by the end of last season for a competitive Bears team. Because I've looked at this for wide receivers specifically, and it's made me be a bigger fader of Michael Wilson than I was before. When we see dudes just get featured down the stretch and dead in the water, bad football teams, the hit rate for wide receivers, at least, nowhere near as high as receivers who are doing it on good teams, on playoff teams, on teams at least in contention. it would make sense if it still applies for tight end. Admittedly, I haven't run the numbers for tight ends. I need to get in the lab, watch the film, and get better, so I'll do that. Anyway, Loveland during the last 4 games of the year, week 17 through the divisional round, had 48 targets. 21 more targets than Caleb Williams' next most targeted receiver, Luther Burden. Rome Odunze was sidelined for 2 of those games. He'll be back, but now there's no DJ Moore. DJ Moore, who I am contractually obligated on my tour of shame, and we'll get to him in a little bit, to tell you guys that I was wrong for calling DJ Moore a fade in previous videos. I'm not going to call him a target, but if you want to draft DJ Moore, please do so. I think he very much deserves to go in that Mike Evans, Christian Watson round of things. Maybe you think he deserves to go higher. Fine. Don't let me be the guy to point the finger at and blame for not drafting DJ Moore. If you already drafted because of what I said, go for it. Yell at me. Call me bad names. Whatever. Have to get that off my chest in every video now until the end of time. Colston Loveland, though. More and more guys, I look at the mid-round tight ends, all have problems. Falcons, Kyle Pitts, that offense could be horrendous. Tucker Kraft getting ramped up. Harold Fannin, horrible offense. Sam Laporta Lions, could be a number 4 pass game option. We'll see how the back's feeling. And then after that, it's just like, all right, are we really going to find the right difference maker? I was hoping it could be Dalton Kincaid. First team reps aren't looking great. I'm sure someone's going to pop. Maybe Mark Andrews, number 2 option. Maybe Dallas Goedert without A.J. Brown. He can do his thing. Maybe Terrence Ferguson going way down the list. Maybe he gets featured. But to the surprise of likely absolutely nobody, us fantasy nerds who thought the tight end position was deeper than ever throughout the summer months have not realized that maybe it's not. And maybe it is once again the haves and have-nots, and the haves are like 2 or 3 dudes. Colston Loveland in round 4 looks like the number 1 pass game option of an ascending Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams-led attack, and I want that. Assuming I did not get Brock Bowers in round 2, I am turning my attention to Colston Loveland in round 4, and I would love to be done at tight end because I love the late round quarterback scene. I can get Brock Purdy, Bo Nix, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, any of those guys. Maybe you like Tyler Shuck or Malik Willis. Okay, take them, double-digit rounds. I don't see the tight ends having that same thing. Maybe Isaiah Likely can boom. That'd probably be my best bet in the later rounds. I don't feel nearly as confident in Isaiah Likely giving me the numbers I need as I do with the other tight ends. And that is why I do want to prioritize, particularly on Yahoo, where we can do this, Loveland in round 4 if I don't get Bowers in round 2. Other targets at this point, wide receivers, baby. Jalen Waddle, Loud McConkey, Zay Flowers. Pick your fighter. Who do you believe is going to be this year's JSN? I wish I was in more auction drafts because I want to take all these dudes in the round 4 range. If you guys do enjoy auction drafts, I actually got to talk to the auction legend himself, Drew Davenport, recently on this channel. Check that out if you're into that kind of thing. My fades in round 4, Tedero McMillan. I don't like the Panthers offense. Cool seeing his slot rate up, but when your quarterback is struggle busting to throw for 3,000 yards per year, that is problematic. You could also look at some of the splits with Jalen Coker involved, and hey, maybe, just maybe, old man Darren Waller complicates things near the red zone. I am just happy taking fellow talented wide receivers like Waddle, McConkey, and Flowers with quarterbacks who, again, respectfully, aren't Bryce Young. Cam Scatterby, not someone I'm signing up for in round 4. Call me crazy. I prefer my top 50 picks to have a leg that has been in one piece for the better part of the last 12 months. Maybe Scatterby proves me wrong with this. I thought he looked okay, health-wise, in that first preseason game. He's going to be out there in week 1, but to what extent? Greg Roman's always liked using his handcuffs. They just signed Najee Harris. Maybe for Tyron Tracy, maybe not. We're getting some of the Giants beat writers saying now that they scheduled this workout for Najee before Tyron Tracy, had the pass pro gaff heard around the world. I love when the beat writers reach out to me on Twitter, man, and make my life just a little bit easier with stuff. But having a little fun in the streets with Harbaugh, hating Tracy. Shout out Pat Leonard. Per Pat Leonard, Tracy was the first RB up with the ones today in 11 on 11 drills. That's a Giants beat reporter saying that. And the usage in preseason was weird, man. It wasn't good for Scatterby, and it's just preseason. I think Scatterby's going to be the lead back. But they were using Tracy and Singletary a lot on third downs. If not, just coming in on pass pro. The path we need for Scadaboo to work out, because I don't think anyone's expecting the dude to run for 5 yards per carry or score 15 touchdowns in that offense. We need the receiving upside. I mentioned the running backs and bad offenses that still post top 12 numbers. Almost every time they're catching 50 plus passes. I think Derrick Henry was the only recent example of someone who didn't do that. Always Derrick Henry, right? If Scadaboo's more of a 30-40 target guy, that's a big problem, guys. That's making him more of a dead zone running back. That's saying, why am I drafting this dude when I can wait, extra round or two and get David Montgomery? What's really the difference? I'm also not drafting the quarterbacks more times than not. Lamar, Drake Maye, Joe Burrow, round 4, I'm good. Too many guys later, too many stub wide receivers and other positions I want to get. I believe I can make up the quarterback points in the later rounds. Before we get to round 5, though, did want to say, you guys playing some fantasy football this year? I invite you to take your talents over to RotoWire and check out everything we have to offer with our hand-a-day subscription. And if you would like to do so, I can give you my code Ian35 for 35% off all my ranks, all my written content, all the other excellent tools and advice that we have going on with our RotoWire Gang live draft assistant tool. Very, very cool feature where you're able to take my ranks or anyone else's you prefer, get them leveled out, and then honestly do your Yahoo ESPN or sleeper drafts from the friendly confines of our live draft assistant. Of course, we're not leaving you hanging once the season starts. We are going to be in a position to also do all the start sit goodness and waiver wire goodness. We even have an all access gift like Discord that is going to be a little bit more priced up, but we do have a pretty good, discount on it right now where literally, I'm hanging out with people every night. They're just sending me personal messages. I got an awesome one last night. I live for this shit, guys. I love football. Okay. All access Discord. Oh, the wrong app. My phone's been going so slow recently. I think it's because I bring into the sauna for 20 minutes almost every day, which, when I say that out loud, does sound like something that will probably break my phone. Okay. But I got a question for a Dynasty Superflex tight end premium. And the guy asked the top 3 dudes that I would like to keep between Jameis Winston, Sam Howell, Tyson Bagent, Flacco, Stidham, Pickett, Roshan Johnson, Samaje Perine, DJ Giddens, LaQuint Allen, Tyquan Thornton, Jake Tunges, and Eric All. Yeah, it's definitely Eric All in tight end premium. We're talking about Joe Burrow's potential every down tight end. Oh, I said Tyquan Thornton before he freaking got carted off the field with a hamstring injury. Hate to see it. That just happens. Don't blame me, please. And then Jameis, bro. Superflex? One injury away to the guy who lives in the medical tent from actually being probably in that mid-tier QB2 conversation. Anyway, that's the type of stuff you can get with our all-access Discord. Check it out if you want. Code Ian35 is going to get you, again, 35% off pretty much all of our other subscriptions that, again, range in prices. But, Team RotoWire, check it out. Favorite pick in round 5, it's going to be Luther Burden. That's right. I'm in on the Bears, and I am in on buying the dip on Burden. He should be good to go in week 1. Not ideal to have this injury, but again, learning doctors far smarter about the stuff than myself, such as Fantasy Points Dr. Jeff Mueller, are confident that what we've seen, which specifically was him already making some horizontal cuts in the pregame of their preseason matchup, should be setting up nicely for Burden to be ready in week 1 and to be the focal point of this Ben Johnson offense, man. I would be shocked, injury permitting, if Rome Odunze actually finds a way to work ahead of Luther Burden. Now, if you take Colston Loveland in round 4, I very much get the sentiment of not wanting to go bear back-to-back in rounds 4 and 5. If you still have a Waddle, if you still have a McConkey, Flowers available in that point, I would like to mix it up at that point too. I would prefer Loveland to Burden straight up. That's why I have him as my round 4 target versus round 5. But man, I just wanted this Bears offense. And it's condensed around 3 dudes in the passing game, at least. There's no wide receiver 3 to speak of. And we have an offense seemingly after they drafted 2 of them. They drafted 2 of them. They at least had the 3rd round dude. Cole Kmet's still there. They're going to use a lot of heavy personnel, and that's great as long as it's not limiting our reps. Heavy personnel is bad for guys like Terrence Ferguson when it leads to a rotation, but it's great for the dudes that are out there. We want Loveland competing for targets with Cole Kmet, not a bunch of wide receivers. We want Burden and Rome being on the field with tight ends and not a bunch of other wide receivers who can more feasibly match their skill set. Ben Johnson has literally told us throughout the offseason that he's buying Luther Burden's stock. All of his underlying efficiency numbers from rookie year, albeit in a small sample, are borderline erotic. And just watch this dude, man. Watch him with your own eyes and tell me he doesn't have a different level twitch than 99% of other human beings, not only just in the world, but also that play professional football. If he just gets sunned and Loveland and Adunze have 150 targets and Burden's just the odd man out, I'll sit here and say I was wrong. I don't see it happening. Luther Burden is the most talented wide receiver in the Chicago Bears wide receiver room, and I want to get him on my squads. That said, draft strategy plays a little bit of a part here, okay? I want 2 running backs inside the first 5 rounds, if at all possible. Once we're getting to round 6 and beyond, that's when we're getting running backs who, again, plenty will work out. I have my thoughts. We'll get to them soon. I see the much more clear, realistic, rational path to top 15 heights for these guys in the first 5 rounds. So let's say I went Jahmyr Gibbs in round 1. Maybe I took we'll say Brock Bowers in round 2. I got A.J. Brown round 3. I got Jalen Waddle in round 4. Feeling good about life, okay? I only have 1 RB so far. In that case, in round 5, I like DeAndre Swift or Bears. Calvin Nunguy's already hurt. He's never finished worse than RB 24 PPR points per game in his career. Or David Montgomery. I admit I've gone back and forth on him a little bit. I see the dead zone traits. A dead zone running back is someone who you believe in the volume, but you don't really love the scoring upside of the offense. You don't necessarily think the running back himself is that special of a talent. But man, the volume's there. In Montgomery's case, the one separating factor for me is I'm just really confident in this Texans team being a wagon. That defense is so nasty. I don't know if CJ Stroud and the offense are going to be great. There's reason for optimism. They've reshuffled the offensive line again. We'll find out if it's actually a good reshuffle or if it's what's kind of happened the last couple of years. I think it's pretty feasible to see Montgomery do his best 2024 Joe Mixon impression back when he had 2 feet. Workhorse role on a good team and an offense that could be good and it wouldn't shock us, 14th in scoring. We can get there. I'm more and more coming around to Montgomery, particularly at a round 5 price tag. I'll take him over Quinshon Judkins, who's a fade for me in this round. Round 5, Garrett Wilson is about the point where I start to say, you know what, that is pretty cheap. Round 4, I'm out, but you know my rule. I'm not using a top 50 pick on a Jet or a Cardinal, and that does unfortunately include Garrett Wilson. So round 5, I am a fan of buying that dip on Luther Burden. If you only have 1 running back, though, I would advise going after DeAndre Swift or David Montgomery. Round 6, top target, Christian Watson, Packers wide receiver 1. I mentioned the yards per route run efficiency kind of stuff that's working in favor of Luther Burden. You have that list. It's a great list. It goes Puka, there's JSN, Puka, Luther Burden, and yards per route run. Number 4, Christian Watson. Got paid. Condensed wide receiver room. No more Dontavian Wicks. No more Romeo Doubs. We don't have to do the whole Jaden Reed conversation where it's like, is he going to be out there in multiple tight end sets? Christian Watson for sure will. Big playability. And the fact he did all that last year with Malik Willis coming in, and Malik performed very admirably for himself. Like his passing was awesome. No doubt about it. It was. He's like first in every passing metric from last season. Small sample size, I get it, but we lost Jordan Love down the stretch for Christian Watson, and he kept on keeping on, man. Really, really good player. Knock on wood. He's got the hamstrings and all that figured out. I believe in the Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love offense. Had a nice conversation with Eli Berkowitz on the Pack beat. Reason to believe there could be more passing. Reason to believe there could be more pace. Reason to believe that defense could take a step back, man. I don't think of Jonathan Gannon as a prodigy. And when Micah Parsons could be out of the picture, man, at least early on in the season, could really see the Packers being a little bit more of this pass-happy shootout team than we've seen in past years. And I see Christian Watson being a major part of that. Other targets, DJ Moore, again, is fine. And what did it for me, guys? it's just not different enough from Mike Evans and Jalen Waddle. I've had my concerns. I don't think my argument was ridiculous. Every wide receiver in Buffalo since Stephon Diggs has busted. And there's been some ones that they put some resources behind. Trading for Amari Cooper, who was, half a season off of a 1,200-yard season in his own right. Curtis Samuel got some money. Josh Palmer got some money. Keon Coleman got a second-round pick. None of those guys were quite DJ Moore, and there were probably more signs for Cooper being washed up, but, we're there. Am I doing a 180 now again? No, I'm not. DJ Moore looks like number one wide receiver in Buffalo. No, the wide open preseason crosser didn't change my mind on this. I don't care about that. You know what changed my mind? I was up late on Tuesday night, finished new episode of Ted Lasso at Mrs. Hartitz. She went to bed. Of course, I went to YouTube NFL highlights. That's what I do. And I was watching this compilation of like the best playoff finishes in recent memory. And they had that Bills Chiefs game on when Gabe Davis went nuts. And I was like, man, we can buy DJ Moore at Gabe Davis price? Not Stephon Diggs price. Gabe Davis price? DJ Moore is perfectly fine round 6. So is Mike Evans, man. And I actually, when I wrote down the show sheet at first, I was leaning towards Mike Evans being my favorite pick in round 6. But guess what? The man's already dealing with another freaking injury in 49ers camp. The bit that won't stop bidding, man. I think it'll be okay. It's the middle of August. He's got time to get better, but goodness gracious. Mike Evans is healthy, though. It's pretty much CMC. It's like if he's healthy, very tough to imagine him playing 17 games in the Kyle Shanahan offense with Brock Purdy, with no Ricky Pearsall, with a banged-up George Kittle, and him not scoring 10-plus touchdowns. I'd be shocked. Bamboozled. I'll even do a bet with myself and you guys, I guess. You can hold me accountable. If Mike Evans plays, I'll even go 15 games, 15-plus games, and he doesn't score 10-plus touchdowns. I will buy a creamsicle, because that's a nice jersey. I'll buy a creamsicle Mike Evans jersey and give it away to one of you guys. We'll do some, lining up thing later to figure out who. But it's not even going to be a problem, all right? 10-plus touchdowns from Mike Evans, mark it down. I love late-round quarterback, but if I was going to go away from that, it would be for my guy Justin Herbert in round 6. I just don't really see myself doing that too often. My fades in this round, I have a really tough time getting around Travion Henderson. I did do a video recently, again, looking at where every team's backup running back would rank if the starter decided to take a season-long vacation, and Travion did, spoiler, come in as the RB1. That price, though, is just... I don't see him taking over, and we can't just assume Ramondre is going to get hurt or anything like that. At the same time, if either of those things happen, we are talking about like 18-plus PPR point per game upside, but I have not been drafting Travion Henderson where he's going. He is this guy where I think when people get back into the thick of fantasy football, they look at ADP and they're like, he is going where? And I do see why. Tucker Kraft as well, round 6, guys. Maybe he'll drop more now that we just got, again, word that he is going to be limited throughout the first half of the year. And maybe that's being overstated. Maybe it's, he's taking run blocking off and everything. But just the way he's using this offense, I don't see the departures of Dobbs and Wicks like opening up anything else for Kraft. He's such an underneath receiver, and he's incredible at it, man. Unreal real-life player. And I'm one of these kind of few fantasy analysts that's not overly in on George Kittle as well. I just think for these guys' role, not that they can't do more, but they're usually being asked to lead the league in yards after catch over expected and just have that much dog in them. And guess what? They have in the past. But I do believe in the potential for these guys to be limited coming off really bad lower body surgeries. And that is what Kraft has had. And it's what we've heard from Green Bay, who additionally, like with the Micah injury, when they have guys, and this is directly from Green Bay, Micah was talking about on a podcast, when they have someone that's torn their ACL more than once, which is not Kraft, but it is Micah, but they basically force them to take, I think, the first 6 weeks off no matter what, maybe just 4. But either way, Tucker Kraft round 6, just a little too pricey for me. Round 7, favorite pick. I'm going with a Steelers running back. Choose your fighter. I probably lean Rico Dowdle at this point. But I think Jaylen Warren's fine too. That same handcuff sort of video I was doing, I think I had Rico in his RB6, no, RB5. And I had a lot of people say, hey, Rico's a starter. Jaylen Warren's the backup. Guess where Jaylen Warren would rank? RB5. I think it's going to be a close to 50-50 committee and an offense that just enabled 2 top 24 running backs last year in PPR points per game with an old quarterback who just wants to get the ball out of his hands at the first sign of pressure. We've seen 20 offenses start a quarterback age 38 or older for at least 10 games over the past decade. Their running backs finished top 8 in targets 75% of the time, guys. I think the offensive line has gotten a lot of resources and is on the up and up. I don't love the scoring upside of the offense as a whole, but they were 16th last year. It's not bad. Could it fall apart later? Yeah. But we have some real nice upside for both if the either gets injured. And we can feel better by that than ever. Because there was the potential like, hey, new coaching staff, Caleb Johnson, maybe he's going to all of a sudden be a little bit of an issue, be a Sean Tucker sort of guy where if an injury happens, he steps up more in the early down role. I don't think he's going to make the team at this point. Travis Homer, something named Lou Nichols, playing before Caleb Johnson out here. It reminds me, it's a poor man's version of the Browns, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt backfields. And middle class man's version. I have so much respect for Nick Chubb, so please don't take us as an insult. Rico Dowdle and Jaylen Warren can both be low-end RB2 flex options together, and if either one goes down, you are booming, baby. Love getting me a Steelers RB in round 7. And again, trying to piece this together, as you can tell, I hope, like I'm doing it with a mindfulness for trying to build a good team overall. It's not just 10 straight running backs or anything like that. So that also is playing in on this. This is where I want to try to potentially stop the wide receiver runs with a Steelers RB, potentially a Washington RB. We'll get into that later. But again, so through 7 rounds, if we're starting at the top with the 101, which is my favorite draft slot, we're getting Jahmyr Gibbs. If not, maybe we get Bijan. Maybe we get Christian McCaffrey. Like those are my top 3 guys. I want to get a running back in the top 5 picks if I have anything to say about it. Maybe we're at the turn. You get Kenneth Walker. Okay. We get a sick running back in round 1. Let's say we get Brock Bowers in round 2. Let's say we get Chris Olave in round 3. Lab McConkey. We come back around. We get DeAndre Swift. Christian Watson. Maybe you take DJ Moore and say Ian doesn't know what he's talking about. Very fair point by you. And then Steelers RB. So we're sitting with Jaylen Warren or Rico Dowdle in our flex. I'll go with Rico Dowdle if you're making me pick one. We got Gibbs and Swift, Gibbs and Montgomery, or Bijan and Montgomery. We're feeling pretty good. RB1 or RB2. We got a stud tight end, whether that's Brock Bowers in round 2 or Colston Loveland in round 4. And then wide receiver. I'd love if A.J. Brown falls to round 3. That's what the ADP tells me. But even if that's unrealistic. Neighbors or Olave. We're going to have a chance at Waddle or McConkey in round 4. You can get another one of them in round 5 potentially. Christian Watson, DJ Moore, Mike Evans in round 6. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love the rest of my picks too. First, though, a quick word from our friends over at DraftKings.
Fantasy football season is right around the corner, and DraftKings is bringing you their biggest best ball contest ever. We're talking a massive $20 million in total prizes, making this the largest best ball tournament in DraftKings history. And this year, not just 1, but 3 players are going to walk away as millionaires. And right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Draft 1, get 1. Enter a lineup in the $20 million best ball contest for just $25, and you'll receive a bonus best ball ticket to play again free for a share of $20 million, giving you a second shot to be crowned a millionaire. It's simple. Just draft your team once. No weekly management. Let your top scorers automatically start each week. Every breakout star, every clutch play, and every touchdown counts towards your shot at a share of $20 million. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and enter a lineup for the $20 million best ball contest for just $25 and get a bonus ticket to play free for another shot to win big. That's 2 shots without ever setting your lineups again in DraftKings' biggest best ball contest ever. Draft one, get one only on DraftKings. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Restrictions apply. One per customer. Enter the Best Ball 20 million headliner contest to get one bonus entry. $25 entry fee required. Reward expires at contest lock September 9th, 2026. See terms at DraftKings.com/promotions. Sponsored by DraftKings.
Shout out to DraftKings and shout out to my favorite pick in round 8, Parker Washington. That's where the ADP is. I know he's going earlier in other drafts, but man, Parker Washington, round 8 in this economy, he's a little banged up right now. Hopefully that causes his price to chill because everything we're hearing out of camp, guys, is that he's the one. He's the wide receiver one. When Travis Hunter comes in, he's usually coming in for Brian Thomas Jr. We saw it on the stretch of last year. Parker Washington was fantastic. And our most relevant sample, BTJ, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, it was Parker averaging, I think, 19 plus PPR points per game on a competing team, going for the playoffs. It was legit. And he looked fantastic. Crossing up Derek Stingley in the slot. This dude is Gen Z Miles Austin. You get the ball in his hands, he's a running back. We love the offense. We love the play caller. We have reason to believe he is going to be the number one target. Give me some Parker Washington. I think DK Metcalf is fine in this range as well. I've perennially chased DK Metcalf, hand up. But he's always been priced so much higher. We've always had to buy DK Metcalf for what we hoped he could be, not what he is. And he is a boomer bust wide receiver 3. And now we can get that. I know Michael Pittman's there now. Again, though, we've never seen Michael Pittman take a 10-yard slant, 80 yards to the house like DK Metcalf. Pittman's fine. DK Metcalf, though, he could be the house. You know what I'm saying? He could be the boat. That's the Family Guy reference I was looking for. Metcalf in round 8 to really solidify wide receiver is great. This is also usually where Rico Dowdle goes. So if you did want to go ahead and maybe take another wide receiver round 7, a Marvin Harrison Jr., for instance, you're buying into that year 3 leap, then you could actually wait a little bit and get yourself a Rico Dowdle. Fades Alec Pierce and Jordan Tyson for obvious reasons. Round 9, give me Chris Godwin, guys. Emeka Egbuka, low-key, dealing with a little bit of a toe injury. I hope it's not of the turf variety, but who's to say? Lord knows Todd Bowles isn't going to help us out there. Chris Godwin, the gap between him and Emeka Egbuka is very likely too wide, guys. You only have to go back to 2024 to see Godwin booming. Wide receiver 2 behind only Chase in those first 6 weeks before he had his own horrible injury. It took him a while to come back last year. Didn't quite look the same, but by the end, he was looking better, and now we've had a whole offseason to get back to being the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, he's pretty much been his entire career, man. I have Emeka Egbuka ranked higher too. But when I look at that early range of players, Emeka Egbuka versus Chris Godwin, Lab McConkey versus Quentin Johnston, Jalen Waddle versus Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers versus Rashad Bateman or future Hall of Famer Jacoby Lane. The one that scares me the most in terms of I could just see us being wrong on who the actual one is 1,000% Emeka Egbuka versus Chris Godwin. Round 9, great value. And it's an offense that why can't they support more than one dude? That's the other thing. Mike Evans is gone. Ted Hurst is out there right now with backups. Did some good, cool things in the preseason game. I posted a little video of the releases. That dude got some wiggle for a man his size. Tez Johnson's like 5'3". Jalen McMillan is good. Maybe I'm underestimating his contribution, but Baker threw 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns in 2024. Kudos to Liam Cohn for helping him out. Baker was also playing like an MVP candidate the first 6 weeks of last year. He threw for 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns in 2023. Maybe he's just a Mike Evans merchant, but if not, Chris Godwin at a minimum. I feel like he's just being priced way closer to his floor than his ceiling, which is a certifiable wide receiver 1. Love getting him in this range. Jonathan Brooks is allegedly still available in round 9. You're obviously not going to get him there. If you can, though, go for it. Blake Corum would be another guy I'm looking at here. He was my RB2 in that, again, handcuff study, looking at what we're going to be doing if every starter leaves the picture. Very, very high upside there with, I think, actually decent flex standalone value, given how many leads the Rams could be playing with, and also just leaning on the run a bit more often, given how good that defense is. My fades, Broncos running backs, and Mekhi Lemon. I love the talent in Dynasty. If you want to buy him there, go for it. But just expecting more than one high-end receiver here, maybe just wishful thinking. Hurts has done it with AJB and Devontae Smith. I'm not trying to crap on Hurts here. That's not the goal of this conversation, okay? He's just so far behind with his hamstring. Wicks seemingly right now could be the number 2. So we can get Lemon just being, unfortunately, because he hasn't had a chance to practice much, being more slot only in an offense that still wants to run the ball, that does have Devontae and Goddard and potentially even Wicks ahead of him in the target pecking order. So Broncos RBs, though, I just think the answer is no. Dobbins last year, like everything went right. He dwarfed RJ Harvey. There was no Jonah Coleman. He was a borderline RB2. RJ Harvey, he got the handcuff upside down the stretch, RB8. Now we have Coleman in there to worry about. I don't think Coleman's a great pick. He's way cheaper. So if you want to just take the cheapest guy there, I mean, go for it. It's a free country, but Harvey and Coleman are an injury away from being a must-start player. And that's a steep price for round 9. If I'm doing that, I want it to be a double-digit round pick. Favorite pick in round 10, I'm going with Jared Goff. I had Josh Downs down here, and then we had to get the Keenan Allen signing. I don't think it dooms Josh Downs. He's still a target. I have Josh Downs and Jaden Reed as good round 10 targets if you need a wide receiver. I think Isaiah Likely is the late round tight end I'll be looking at. Washington running backs, ambiguous. I do prefer Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt over Rachaad White based on what we've been hearing. Kenneth Gainwell. Jordan Mason could fall into the end zone 10 times. We shouldn't be shocked in an improved Vikings offense. But Jared Goff, man, again, trying to continue to go off of building a team simultaneously with our favorite picks in the round, given the value. Put some respect on Jared Goff's name. In a league where it's hard to get a quarterback known for 4,000 yards, he's done for 4,500, 3 straight years. Everyone says he doesn't have enough upside. He doesn't run the football. What's really the difference between Goff and Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott? 100 rushing yards? That's about what it is. At this stage, in Dak's career at least. He's getting up there. Goff has 8 top 5 fantasy finishes weekly during the last 2 seasons. That only trails Lamar, Josh, Hurts, and Burrow. That's it. Go look at your DraftKings Sportsbook passing yards, passing touchdown leaderboards. You're going to see Jared Goff's name near the top of the list. And we don't have to worry about the weather until week 17. And I understand that's when we're playing for the championship, and that's annoying. But hey, go back to week 18 last year in Chicago. Goff cleared 300. That Eagles game was atrocious. I would like to think we can potentially find a better option by week 17, but we got to get there in the first place. The only road games, here are the road games the Lions have until week 17 in Chicago. At the Bills in mid-September, at the Panthers in early October, at the Cardinals in early October, in Miami in early November, in Atlanta in a dome in December, in Minnesota in a dome in December. Could we get rain in Miami or Carolina? Like, sure, okay. But we're not looking at any of these that are like, wow, that's going to be really problematic. In Philly in December, in Chicago in December. Like, we're avoiding that. We got Chicago in January instead. JK. Jared Goff, I believe, has underappreciated upside. It's an offensive line that I think probably at this point better pass blocking than run blocking. Pacheco's banged up. We don't have David Montgomery. You're telling me they're going to give Gibbs 400 carries? I don't think so. If anything, we could see him open up this passing playbook more than ever. Is the defense really going to be better, or is it going to be one shootout after another on an indoor track at Ford Field in Detroit? I lean towards the latter. Now, it's round 10. I waited until round 10, maybe even later, man. The way these go, again, I'm going to look off the ADP, but this is a 10-team league, ADP style. That's how Yahoo presents it. I think the way people take quarterbacks, you can wait even longer than this to get Goff. If I'm getting Goff, though, let's get some upside too. Tack on a Kyler Murray. Tack on a Malik Willis. Maybe Tyler Shuck is your guy. Maybe you believe in Baker Mayfield. Jordan Love. Jordan Love's dark horse MVP candidate. He's free in fantasy drafts. Go with Goff as your floor play, which I hate to even say because he does have some underappreciated upsides we've gone over. Tack on another one and feel great about your late round quarterback room. Best remaining players after. I'm getting to, but first a quick word to our friends over at Splash Survivor, guys. 2 very, very fun contests for you to potentially consider entering if you're trying to beat myself, beat Theo Greminger, beat the entire RotoWire gang, and also maybe make yourself quite a little bit of cold hard cash if you have what it takes to survive throughout the NFL season. We do have a RotoWire $100,000 NFL Survivor. This is a traditional Survivor league with a $15 entry fee. Also, RotoWire $50,000 touchdown Survivor contest. This is player-based. Anytime touchdown Survivor League. I absolutely love it. This one is a $25 entry fee. But again, you have a lot of money at stake and you have potential bragging rights over myself and Theo. How could you not love that opportunity? So head on over to splashsports.com/RotoWire. Promo code RotoWire will get you a 50% deposit match and 100% payout boost. That's splashsports.com/RotoWire. Don't forget to use promo code RotoWire. Those were the top 10 rounds of the draft. And I'm just, look, when you look on Yahoo after the top 10 rounds, when you're doing it with the 10 team leagues and everything like that, we're already past 10 rounds in that. So we just get a big clump of guys. There's like 50 dudes being listed as a round 11 pick. So I just want to go ahead and quickly list off my best remaining players in round 11 and beyond. At quarterback, basically just went through them. Jordan Love, Malik Willis, Baker Mayfield, and Tyler Shuck. Kyler Murray is a round 10 guy as well. In an ideal world, I'm getting Jared Goff and Kyler Murray on the same team. I want to be spending most of my picks here at running back, all right? Ideally, I get 5, maybe 6, depending on the guys, wide receivers in the first 10 rounds, specifically for 3 wide receiver leagues starting. That's key. Remember that. If that's the case, I'm fine not drafting a wide receiver in the double-digit rounds. There's some I like, specifically Casey Concepcion, Matthew Golden, Rashid Shaheed, and the one true wide receiver handcuff, Travis Hunter at the end. Those are my sleepers. But I'm fine just drafting awake wide receivers. Bad joke. I'm sorry. I want 5 to 6 wide receivers in that top 50. And I would include Concepcion and Golden particularly in that group of targets I want, because I don't want to mess around with the other guys. I just don't want to try to pretend like I'm going to find this decade's Puka Nacua. We'll be active on the waiver wire. We'll react quickly. I want running backs in the double-digit rounds that are 1 injury away from being on the cover of all those waiver wires and being instant must-starts in our lineup. Tank Bigsby, Marshawn Lloyd, Keaton Mitchell, Woody Marks, Tajay Spears, 5 guys who I do think are capable of doing just that. Depends on your build a little bit, all right? Maybe you came away with 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. You're pretty damn good there, all right? You should feel more open taking a Tank Bigsby over a Keaton Mitchell because our injury contingent upside is much higher for Tank than it is for something like Keaton. Similar sentiment with Tajay Spears. Who's going to give you a better chance for 8 or 9 points during a week? Yeah, Tajay Spears over Tank Bigsby over Brian Robinson. But if you take away a starting running back from those teams, we're probably more higher on B-Rob and Tank. Tight end. If you choose to go with Tucker Kraft or George Kittle, how you can make it work, guys, is getting Juwan Johnson. No Jordan Tyson for at least the first likely month and a half of the season. Juwan Johnson is the skeleton key for Tucker Kraft and George Kittle fantasy teams this year. Brenton Strange, Greg Dulcich. I really hope you can find a tight end better than those dudes. Those would be like the break glass in case of emergency. However, I do like throwing me a late round dart, Terrence Ferguson. The 3 late round tight ends who are 1 good usage data point away from skyrocketing up ranks. I'm assuming Isaiah Likely actually is going to have a full-time role when I say this, so not including him. Dalton Kincaid, who's already being priced up a little high. Then it's Oronde Gadsden as Terrence Ferguson, because we love those Los Angeles offenses. We have the wide receivers at the top, but it's not overwhelmingly full of dudes. Like you can see the lead tight end target getter potentially being number 3 in the offense, right? Terrence Ferguson, I kid you not, guys. If we knew he was going to be running a 75, 80% route rate this season, tight end 6, 5, 4, probably not 4, maybe 4. I bet someone would do it. And he's free at the end of these drafts. If I did not get Bowers, if I did not get Loveland, I'm not leaving with Ferguson as my tight end 1. But man, give me Dallas Goedert and Terrence Ferguson. Give me Isaiah Likely and Terrence Ferguson. He is the lottery ticket at the end of drafts. Terrence Ferguson. DST. So caveat, if you do not need to draft a DST or kicker and you're drafting right now, don't. You pull up Twitter, you see, I've been recording this now, 50 minutes? I bet there's probably been 2 more new injuries I got to deal with and update the ranks for, which I'll do. It's a great job. No problem. They're coming in so fast in practice and games. Who knows who's next? So why draft the DST 9 when you can get a Mike Washington or a Brian Robinson or even a Jaden Blue, Get one of these late round running backs and just put yourself in a permission to benefit from the chaos that is fantasy football. We'll cut someone before the season starts. We'll pick up a DST then. Guess what? They're all going to be there for you. You can probably pick up the same one you cut. The exceptions for me would be the Texans, Rams, Broncos, Seahawks, and Eagles. Those are my big 5. I'm tempted to include Brian Flores and the Vikings with how aggressive and blitz happy they are. They just did lose a lot of pieces on the D line. They need some guys to step up quickly. They could do it. Rank them 6, whatever. If you say, Ian, you're crazy, I just want my DST, fine. If you want to wait, though, the Ravens, guys, I think the Ravens DST could be like this year's Patriots. That group who you don't have to draft early, but you just live on a nice schedule, and they get you through a large portion of the season. And then we get to the point where we're just like, man, tough matchups, but we're going to ride or die with the Ravens. It's a good group. They got studs. Because what I'm looking for, if I'm not getting one of the big 5, but you got to pay up for those big 5. And I'd rather draft other positions. I'd like to save my last round pick for a defense more times than not. I want blue chip guys on the defense, and we have that. We have Kyle Hamilton and Trey Hendrickson at a minimum. I want a good coach, and we definitely have that in Jesse Minter. And I want a good schedule to start the year so I don't have to worry about playing the waiver wire DST roulette every single week. And if you want to go ahead and get the Ravens, you are good through the first month and a half of the season. We're getting game 1 against the Colts. First game, Daniel Jones off the Achilles. Game 2 at home against the Saints. Tyler Shuck and them are fine. I don't think it's an amazing matchup, but again, it's the Saints. Let's not freak out. We're fine starting a DST against them. Week 3 in Dallas, that one's not good. We're going to have to deal with that one. So that's one not great matchup, but you're going to deal with that one because we get the Titans in week 4. We get the Falcons in week 5, and we get the Browns in week 6. Weeks 4 through 6, the Cam Ward, Brian Dable experience, Tua or Penix, and then God knows whoever's going to be under center for Cleveland. Ravens DST, big fan there at the end of draft. Guys, let's wrap up another edition of Fantasy Football with Ian Hartitz, the channel and show without an official name, but we're just going to keep rolling with it anyway. Hope you did like the show. If you did like the show, please hit that like button. Let me know in the comments any players that you think I'm just completely crazy on. Again, I know we were going through favorite pick of each and every round, but a lot of chaos is going to happen out there. So players are going to fall and everything. And again, I did want to just try to piece together not just the best players, but in my slightly, potentially very flawed opinion, because fantasy football is crazy and who the hell knows what's going to happen at the end of the day, what I think the ideal draft strategy, we'll get into it. Put really simply, round 1, if at all possible, I want a baller RB. Round 2, I want a baller RB or Brock Bowers. Round 3, awesome wide receiver. Round 4, awesome wide receiver or Colston Loveland. Round 5, Swift or Montgomery, if only one running back, otherwise a wide receiver. Round 6 through 9, I'm taking 2 or 3 more wide receivers, 1 to 2 more running backs. Round 10 plus is a late round QB or 2 and handcuff running backs. Right? And let's hopefully pick the players that don't get hurt, because that's really easy to do every year. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. We got some preseason football back in our televisions. I'll be back with a long breakdown, I imagine, over on Monday. You can find that right here. Find the written content and version over at rotowire.com. Code Ian35 for 35% off one last time. And yeah, otherwise, that's going to do it for me. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I'm Ian Hartitz. I'm out. Take care, everybody.